everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on, you foxes!
Good evening, fellow Fox fans, and welcome along to Leicester Till I Die TV. We've got a bit of a special tonight. We've got a special transfer show. A few days ahead of the transfer window opening, we're going to be looking, and if only I could afford a music license, I could play a bit of Clash here. Which of the Leicester players, who should stay and who should go? Well, we're not going anywhere, and you're watching this.
You are watching Leicester Till I Die TV with Chris and Chumps. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Pinterest. All you need for everything Leicester City FC. It's Leicester Till I Die TV. Leicester Till I Die. Now available on Spotify.
Indeed, we are. We are everywhere, and getting into the Jim White experience here with the old yellow tie. You think this is thrown together, don't you? It isn't. It's actually quite pre-planned. Yeah, right. If you believe that, you believe anything. Welcome along. It is a transfer show for the next 4 weeks before we get back into Europe. Every Wednesday, we'll be bringing you the live show Wednesday night at 7, the transfer show. Normally, this would be with Mark, who is my European chat show buddy. Mark, though, is not joining us at all at the moment because of illness. So we wish Mark all the best and speedy recovery and a good start to the new year for you, Mark, if you are watching. So a quick hello to Stephen, looking dapper. I've made the effort. And when I get Matthew in a minute, you'll see at least one of us has. But hey, it had to be the yellow tie. It's a transfer show, isn't it? It would have been rude not to. It would have been rude not to. But yeah, it is a transfer show. So we're going to be looking at who do you think should stay or go? I've got my thoughts. Matthew has certainly got his thoughts. I've seen the bit of paper. Well, I think it's a pad with his thoughts on for later about who should be shipped out in the summer. We're not looking at who's coming in because we know the window's not open yet, so we'll probably look at that next week. But this week we're looking at who we should go. Do we have to ship out to bring some more players in? Quite possibly. I've got my thoughts. You might have an idea of who a couple of those are if you've been watching me. Also, the 7 players whose contracts are up in the summer. Do we let it run down or do we try and offload them now and get a little bit of money back? Because we've paid big money for some of these guys. But like I say, it is Leicester Till I Die, and you can watch us live on YouTube, which is at Leicester Till I Die TV. Please hit that subscribe button. We would love you forever. Twitter Periscope, it's at Leicester TID. And if you're on Facebook, in the Facebook group, it is again Leicester Till I Die. Please click that StreamYard link if you are watching on Facebook. Brings your name up. I'll say it every time. No cost, no registration. It just doesn't show you up as purely Facebook user. If you want to watch us on catch or watch us or listen to us on catch up, Leicester Till I Die TV on YouTube, and it's Leicester Till I Die on all the best podcast stations out there, including Google, Apple iTunes, Spotify, and Anchor. And a quick we are in Tier 4, so we can only sign a player from another Tier 4 area. I think they've just got to come over and self-isolate, haven't they? And we'll be coming on to this later, I'm sure, about Nacho to go. Yeah, I might get a bit of agreement with me on that. Let's bring in, every week we like to play a game, or you probably know the book, Where's Wally? We don't want to call him a Wally, but we tend to play a game called Where's Matthew, because you never know where he's going to sign in from. But we'll say good evening, Matthew, and welcome along. Can you hear me, Matthew? Hello. I think Can you hear me, Matthew? Right, I think Matthew can't hear
Hi,
me.
Chris. How are you, mate? All right.
Hello there.
I'm struggling a little bit, to be honest.
You on Spanish time?
Yeah.
Do you want to log off?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
You can hear me. Brilliant.
Hello.
Brilliant. Just saying, you are our very own Where's Wally? Nice to have you in Leicester at the moment.
Yeah, I'm back, mate. Yeah.
Here you are. Good. Well, welcome along.
Thank you.
And yeah, we've got a Facebook user here. Hi, Chris. Nice time, mate. Happen to have it, of course. Anyway, we're looking at who might go. And should we get rid of the donkey in the room first, Matthew?
It was going to come up sooner or later, wasn't it? So we may as well get rid of him now, haven't we?
We'll get him out of the way. Then, if we've got time for anybody else at the end, we might have a look at a few others. Ian Nacho.
Yeah.
I've been reading a few posts that have been coming up in the group and I've had a go at him recently, and I've only just reached the end of my tether with him because I think I've wanted him. I was pleased when we signed him. He just hasn't done it, and it's not just for Brendan Rodgers. He hasn't done it for. He hasn't done it for Shakespeare. He hasn't done it for Puel. He came from a Man City side. I say my mother would have looked good playing up front in that Man City side. 30 million. He's had his chance. He's not going to get any better, is he? He's got to go.
He's had loads of chances, Chris, hasn't he? I mean, like you said, playing in that side, they were even better than they are now, Man City. You know, and they're still a bloody good side. You looked. They were mainly tap-ins. You know, I wasn't. You said you were keen on having him. I wasn't particularly, because I didn't think at the time he fitted our Leicester ethos as such. You know, that Foxes never quit, hard work, grafting, and you know he's proved it. To be honest with you, Chris. I mean, yeah, we do have a section of our fans that are always critical of a player. You know, we've had it in the past with some of them who we'll probably go on to later on. But I think personally, I have to agree with you. It's justified. I mean, and the game the other day for me, it was the final straw. I was fuming, bloody fuming.
Yes.
It wasn't just that penalty miss, Chris. Fair enough, everybody misses a penalty, but it was the way he took the penalty. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's not Ronaldo, is he?
No.
You know, and it was the attitude after that. And the attitude during the game, and it's not just that game, it's throughout his entire career at Leicester, the lack of enthusiasm, he doesn't track back, he doesn't work. Yeah. He's just not bloody good enough, Chris. Simple as that. Simple as that.
I can't argue at the moment. As I say, I've defended him so much over the years, and I'm getting to the point where I'm running out of defence for him. As Andy said, the ball.
You're going to say running out of expletives for him.
I mean, okay, you know, he misses a penalty. Everybody misses a penalty. Mahrez missed his fair share of penalties.
Yeah.
Vardy misses he misses them. We know that, you know, as many as he gets for us. Reminding me a little bit of Jan Kermorgant.
Yeah.
Sometimes missing a penalty is one thing, and if you put your boot through it and the goalie brings off a worldie and saves it, you've got to take your hat off and say well done to the goalie.
Absolutely.
But it is for the player to miss, and it wasn't just that though; it's his whole performance. We'll come on to Perez in a minute, but Perez in that game was running for the ball. He was getting in there. You know, just before the penalty, Nacho had a good, touch and turn and left his player for dead. But after that, nothing. I'm sorry, his confidence and all that, whatever, it's shit. You either play or you don't. And you're not telling me that 3 managers that have had him, none of them have been able to get a tune out of him. That's not the managers, that's the player, isn't it?
I mean, Brendan obviously thought he could do something with the lad. He clearly did, because, he hasn't had a lot of game time, but he has in a way. He's played European games, he's played pre-season, etc. And I saw, you probably saw it as well, as an article on the internet, absolutely ridiculous for me, about his conversion rate compared to Jamie Vardy. Did you read that?
Well, I'm not sure if I saw one where they were comparing him, somebody was comparing him to Albrighton, but it was on a one game basis.
Yeah.
You've got to look at how he's performed. I mean, like I say, I also think, I mean, when you look at, whoever comes, they're going to play second fiddle to Jamie Vardy. As I said the other day, we need a striker that if Vardy's injured, when Vardy got injured in the championship winning season, Ujoa came on, and you knew there's goals in him.
Yeah. I mean,
if Vardy was to break his leg Christmas Eve, falling over on ice, and he was out for 6 weeks, would you want to rely on this guy to get you the goals?
Well, and I think the thing is, when you saw Ujoa stripping off Rennes to come on, you had a bit of hope. When you see Ian Atro stripping off to come on, everybody sighs. You know, oh, for God's sake, you know, and that's what everybody does, you know. And you know, if we want to be the side of a top 4 team, top 6, top 4 team, whatever, we need something better than this. You cannot rely on a guy like this who's on, I think, 60 grand a week. I might be wrong. I don't know if you. I saw someone who's on 60 grand a week. For doing what, like, you know? For doing what?
I mean, I saw a picture today of Gareth Bale sat in the stands in the last Tottenham game, and you know he's on 600 grand or something a week. Isn't it ridiculous? It happens, you know. But I just, like I said, I couldn't. You can't rely on him to come on and get the goals. And yeah, he is a box player. You know, all his goals he scored for Man City, or most of them for Man City, were within that box. And you could argue that we don't, and I've argued this in the past, haven't played to his strengths. But come on now, like I say, I don't even remember, because I think it was Shakespeare under Shakespeare's reign when we signed, and
correct, yeah.
Even Shakespeare wasn't picking him that often, and it makes you wonder whether it was a signing that Shakespeare didn't want.
Yeah.
And it happens sometimes. These signings are forced on somebody.
Was it that era? That dodgy period when Walsh had left that we signed him?
It was...
Someone out there will know. But we
I think when Shakespeare took over, Walsh had left, hadn't he?
Gone, hadn't he? Yeah.
Yes.
I think it might have been that small window where we did make a few iffy signings. And he was one of them, wasn't he?
I like to call that the Ranieri years. Very few of Ranieri's signings are still with us. I see we've got. I'm not sure that this is Ant or Deck, but somebody said it's a wonky donkey. I'm not sure how long he's got left on his contract. I don't know, but however long it is, it's too long. But it's and it's 30 million. It just. And again, I've said it before, I'm old enough to remember Man United when they were trying to keep up with Liverpool in the 70s and 80s. They would go out and buy players because they were a named player and they were good. Any thought of, would they fit into our system? You know, and like I say, I think our buying policy in that post Premier League winning era of a year and a half leaves a lot to be desired, you know.
Yes, there were some question marks there. Can I ask you something, Chris?
You can say, as long as you don't expect a good answer. Yes, go ahead.
What do we do with him?
You see, I was just about to say who would have him. I was going to say exactly down the road, and this is it. I know Man City got first dibs on him. I can't somehow see, you know. I'll go what Brad said today. Maybe we could do a swap, Jesus for or Jesu for Iheanacho. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know who would want him.
No.
And my worry is that a lot of our players, and some of them that will come up further, that you think have actually left the club, are actually just out on loan.
Yeah,
he may have to go out on loan.
What, down to the Championship and see?
Yeah, exactly.
No one's going to want him in the Premier League on loan. That's a fact.
No. Sorry, I can see the comments as they come up before I click them to come in. Apparently he's got 3 years left. That's scary. But apparently Andy says Tesco are advertising. I see Andy, if he went to put a tin of beans on a Tesco shelf, he'd drop it, you know. Nobody's going to want to buy him. I really don't think they are, not with his wages. And I think looking at him, I think he's one of those players that knows which side his bread's buttered.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stay with us for money. I think it will be a case of him going out alone.
Yeah.
My first one of my thoughts was possibly tie it in with a deal for if we can get Eduardo from Celtic.
Yeah, I just thought possibly Eduardo. Yeah, I thought possibly Eduardo might be a more of a close season in the summer signing. That was just a thought I had.
Might be. Yeah,
obviously, Brendan signed.
Everything we're going to talk about now is going to be speculation, obviously.
Yeah, Brendan signed Eduardo, didn't he? And
he did.
Obviously rates him. But I just thought that didn't feel like a January sort of transfer to me.
January transfers are always a bit risky. They never work out quite as well as summer signings. That said, and I can't look at him any longer. Somebody said he can't drive or count. I'm not even sure if he can push a trolley, to be honest with you
guys.
Better.
That's better.
I forgot what I was going to say then, but yes, that was it. Yeah, January sales. They are risky. They're never as good as summer buys, but we've got to look at last year, and we've got to say, I mean, Ryan Bennett might be available again.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
This question is, you guys appreciate yourselves slagging our players off.
Ryan Bennett, is he gone back to Wolves now, or what?
I've no idea. That was just a throwaway comment. But just on it, right, tell you what, whoever this Facebook user is, sign in, put your name to it, and we'll have a discussion. Hide behind Facebook users when you come on and say this. We are fans, and as fans, we are allowed to slag players off. Whatever jobs we do, Matthew drives horses abroad, don't you? If you were to miss a ferry, you would get bollocked by your colleagues if it cost them the bonus or anything. We are allowed to have an opinion. If you don't like our opinions, if you don't like watching our opinions, the off button's there, press it. But I tell you what, mate, come back, sign in with your name, and then we can have a proper discussion. Don't hide behind Facebook user.
But all these players that we're talking about now, including Kelechi and Acho, I'm sure you're saying, Chris, I've defended these people in the past.
Yeah.
Giving them chances, you give them chances. I've sat in the stadium when people have slagged them off, and I've turned around and said it, I'm not being funny, but there comes a time, and everyone has their own opinion, like you say, and it's entirely everybody's chance to air it, isn't it?
Yeah. We are, unfortunately, in this age of the internet and in the age of these shows that we do, I've become a lot more critical since I've started doing these shows, because it's what I'm here for. Because if I was to sit here, and you've got guys like that probably haven't particularly realise how social media, radio, TV punditry all works. I was to sit here with you now, Matthew, and go, you know what, our squad's fantastic, we should keep them all.
Yeah.
We're going to get no response whatsoever.
Yeah, quite, yeah.
If I come on and say we should get rid of Ian Nacho, people will respond. And if they're responding, it makes the show worthwhile. People can't understand this. People can't understand that what Robbie Savage says is on the radio is to get people to ring in. What Jason Cundy says on Talk Sport. Exactly. That is the idea of these shows. Well, we'll see if he signs in and comes back on and has the guts to say what is under his name. We know we need to sign a player to replace Vardy when he calls it a day. Okay, we've done Nacho. We think we can definitely say Nacho is on the way out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he gets the big fat.
Hopefully.
Guys, leave Nacho now. Let's move on. Here we go. Just bring this in, Andy. Whoever that person is, it's called Passion and Caring for Your Club's Future. Exactly, Andy. Exactly. That is what it is about. And we all pay our money in some way or another. I bought 3 shirts this year, blue, white, and purple. That's cost a lot of money. That gives me a right to have an opinion.
Quite.
Talking of who's going to replace Jamie Vardy, this guy I don't think he is, because I think he plays in a different position. But I'm not sure about this guy. I love him, and I'm not hate him. I don't want him to go, but I love him and get frustrated by him in equal measures. And Mr. Perez. Now, Again, you could say he doesn't do an awful lot sometimes, but last game he showed a bit of passion. Would you keep or would you let him go?
Well, he cost us quite a bit of money, didn't he? 30 million, was he?
30 million, yeah.
30 million quid. And I don't think we've seen enough of him yet. But I don't know what his best position is, to be honest with you.
I was reading an article a month ago, and it was actually interviewing Newcastle fans about him.
Yeah.
And they couldn't believe how we hadn't taken him, and accepted him, and how he was struggling. And Brendan was saying that he signed Perez because he's the first line of defence. He gets a tackle in, outside their box and what have you, and eases pressure and gives players. So that's what Brendan saw in him. That's why Brendan wanted to bring him in. The problem is he's very similar. He can't play. He's not a winger. When he's put out on the wing, that's not his. He is that Maddison position, and unfortunately, you're looking Perez or Maddison. We
kind of had quite a few people in that middle of the park as well. I mean, I've got a mate who's a big Newcastle fan, and he says he wasn't sad to see him go. Funnily enough, he said he's very streaky, a bit in and out. We haven't this season. He hasn't played an awful lot for us. He hasn't had an awful lot of game time. Like some of these players, I'm going to say, oh, he hasn't had enough game time, but I think this guy needs a bit more time on the pitch. Personally, he hasn't scored a lot for us. No. I'll tell you what, he scored last season. He scored 8 goals for us. 3 of those were at Southampton, but everyone scored that night, didn't they?
I scored, and I was in the crowd.
He's only scored 1 so far this season, but that's probably because he hasn't played many minutes. I think he wants more game time, but where you put him, Chris, is another thing. To be honest with you. Brendan obviously has a bit of hope for him, so let's hopefully he can come good. But he's not done yet for me. This fellow isn't done yet for me, to be honest.
I agree 100% with you on that one, and I think he was dropped because of his performances. And I think Brendan sort of said to some of these players, "It's up to you to fight your way back in."
Yeah.
And I think with Perez, we have to look at the performance. Very true what you said about goals, because of the position he plays in. But I think you've got to give the guy, his assists and the way that he plays, off Vardy and what have you. No, for me, he's another stayer on that.
I mean,
good evening, Lee. He won't score if he's on the wing. Play him up front. Goals will come from him.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Lee. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he definitely. So we're agreeing on that, which it's all going very well. We're agreeing on that he's a stayer. Right, let's have a look. Who we're going to look at next? While we're up front, let's have a look at Slim. And I'll tell you why, because somebody has just mentioned here. Again, Facebook user rather see Slim back in. And out. Oh, Rob, hey Rob, you're right. Rather see Slim in and Nacho out. And out Nacho, I think Rob's having a bit of a Yoda moment there. I had hopes for this guy. And whether the Premiership isn't for him, and it isn't for all the European players, I think when he was getting regular game time under Ranieri and Shakespeare, he was doing better in Europe than he was in the Prem. Again, he's not a Vardy, but for me, he's one of those that if you're 1-0 down, 10-15 minutes to go, you should be able to bring him on, hit the balls in, and we haven't got a natural header of the ball, Vardy isn't, but again, it's his attitude, not unlike Nacho.
I actually quite like this fella, to be honest with you, Chris. There's a lot of people who there's been an undercurrent at the club with this player. There has been. I don't know what's gone on, but at one point we were told that he would never play for Leicester again. He never put the shirt on for Leicester again. And then he's back in training again. Okay, fair enough. Bloody well. Whatever's gone on there is another thing. But I think he's all right. I saw him. Okay, I was at the King Power when he scored a couple of goals against Huddersfield. Okay, it was Huddersfield. Going back 2 seasons now, but it's a Premier League club, and he looked absolutely bloody sharp that day. I think both were headers, or one was certainly a really good header. But he's a guy you, like you say, you could bring on in the box. He's a target man, whipping in those balls from Albrighton or whatever, and he's actually bloody good in the air. And we don't have a guy like that. No. Iheanacho's neither good with his feet or with his head, so it's 100% improvement on that. And this he owes us a bit of money, this guy as well.
Yes.
For me, I don't know what you'd probably totally disagree. For me, whatever the club think, for me, he's a key. Look, we are absolutely struggling for men up top. If Vardy gets injured, we are knackered, and we've shown that.
Yeah.
So why dismiss him like that?
Yeah. I mean, again, I said that at the start. Who would, if Vardy breaks his leg, who's going to come in for him? And I think I had such good hopes for him. Like I said, when he came in with this good reputation. He was our most expensive player at the time. The problem is, and I feel a little bit like this with Nacho up until recently as well, is that when these players come on, and when he came on for that 10 minutes recently, he was basically just going in on that Vardy role, and they're not Vardy, these players. If you're going to bring Slim on, you need to play to his strengths, and his strengths are completely different to Jamie Vardy. Like you said, if you're going to bring him on, and Albrighton's not playing, bring Albrighton on as well.
Yeah.
To get those crosses in. The problem I have with him, and I don't understand, I feel for him a little bit because he was told earlier in the season there's still a chance for him.
Yeah.
And after that, he's had 10 minutes and he's not been seen anywhere near a squad yet. I'm going to be honest with you. I've often said, give it, like you say, give him a chance, get him on. Give him longer than 10 minutes. Bring him on, change the tactics to suit him. He is an option, I've got to be honest with you. For me, the jury's out. I can't. Yeah. Well, no. I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to say he's going to go for me because I don't think he wants to play for us anymore. I think he's got to that point where if he stays, his heart's not in the club.
That's a fair point, Chris. I'll take that. I think he probably will be gone. Whether he'll be gone now, whether he'll be gone in the summer is another thing. We'll probably pay his wages for a few more months. But if I was a football manager, which I never will be, I'd be keeping him and playing to his strengths a little bit. And he came on for 10 minutes, Chris. He'd had no game time before that, none at all. And then he played 10 minutes. Then we said, "Oh, he's crap, he's rubbish. Get rid of him." Blah, bloody hell.
Yeah, no, I agree with that side, but I just think. Actually, for me, it's just his heart's not in it anymore. So that's why he's got. The problem is, again, who wants him? Because it's funny, these clubs are gone. And he went to Monaco, and I know we're in the middle of COVID. I know people haven't got the money to buy like they used to, and we'd want, I don't know how much we'd want back on the 30 million. But, he's gone to Monaco. He's scored goals in Monaco, and they still didn't want him.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Maybe about his attitude, and maybe that's why he isn't featuring. But right, let's go on and have a look at who have we got down here. I think for me, until we come on to those that might go for different reasons, those are, I think, the three contentious ones. Let's move to the back of the park. Filip Benkovic.
Yeah.
We had the most horrendous defensive problems early this season.
Mm-hmm.
We were bringing in 2 35-plus-year-olds in Fuchs and Morgan to dig us out of the hole we were in. And we had this young guy who started week in, week out. And I know it's Scotland. I know it's seldom in Scotland. But he was starting every week for Brendan.
Yeah.
And yet Brendan doesn't think that much of him. that when we're down to the bare bones in defence, that he gets him back and brings him in?
No, we've loaned him out of Cardiff, haven't we?
Yeah. You've just gone out of shot a bit there. We can't see you at all.
I moved the wrong way, mate. Yeah, we loaned him out to Cardiff, didn't we?
Yeah.
And he had his first start there, was it yesterday, and had an absolute howler. I know that. Yeah. I know everybody has a bad game, don't they? And he was at fault for the first goal, etc., etc. I don't know. Does Brendan think he's up to Premier League? I don't know. He's clearly he's had opportunities to bring him into the squad and start him and have him on the bench, but he doesn't seem to want to, does he?
He doesn't, and that's the worrying thing, that he's had is it 2 seasons he was in Scotland?
That's right. Yeah, I think you're right.
He was a regular starter for Brendan.
He was, yeah.
So Brendan knows what his strengths are. If he doesn't feel he's good enough for the Premier League now, let's ship him out. Let's get some money in and get somebody else in. I mean, having said that, we've got Luke Thomas coming through. We've got a lot of defenders, as somebody said earlier, coming from the under-23s. And to be totally honest with you, talking of the under-23s, we're actually going to be doing we're not sure if it's a blog or a show. Brad Hicks is going to be doing something for us. He runs the under-23s group on Facebook, the unofficial under-23s group. He knows all about these young players. It is difficult to say there, Andy. We haven't seen anything, but again, if he's not in this team now with everything that we've had, for me, he's a get rid.
Yeah, I mean, I admit I know very little about Scottish football because it's not very good, and he's been loaned out to Cardiff. Like I say, he had a howler the other night. Brendan doesn't appear to think he's good enough, and people aren't screaming to have him back within the club. So, with very little knowledge on that one, Chris, I'd be saying let's get rid of him.
To me, it's like another Kapuchka.
Yeah, similar sort.
Had the potential, but failed to deliver. A lot of people here are agreeing with us on this one and saying get rid of him. I'm a bit worried I'm going to end up with like a 5-a-side football team by the time I've got rid of everybody. Right, okay, so this guy, I've loved him to bits, Matty James.
Yeah.
He has had horrendous injury problems. Every time he comes back, he seems to get injured within the first game of coming back. Brendan's liked him because he's picked him over other players in the past, in the squad. I think he's at Barnsley at the moment.
Yeah.
For me, we've moved on as a club. And I think we've got better options there now anyway. So for me, he's another go, I'm afraid.
Yeah, top bloke, Chris. He is, he served his time. He just can't stay fit. He's probably not good enough. And he's another Andy King.
Yes. Oh. Am I taking it from that you're not an Andy King fan?
No, in the nicest possible way, Chris. Nicest possible way. He served his time at the club. It's time to move on. Even if he was fit. Even if he was fit, even if he could stay fit, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I
think we've moved on and we've got better options now, haven't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was quite brief with him, wasn't it?
Yeah. Robert said there, must be disheartening for Top to spend all this money and their crap. I mean, even if you say the best Premier League manager of the past 20 years, love him, hate him, whatever you've got to say, it's got to be Sir Alex Ferguson. And even he bought some donkeys.
Absolutely. Everyone does it, don't they?
And I don't think, we've got to be careful that, and I think Brendan does this, he buys players not because of who they are, but of how they will fit into the system that he wants the team to play, which is the right way to do it. But unfortunately, until you get them over here, until they try, the likes of Kaputska show great potential, you don't know. So it is a lot of money to spend, but all the clubs have the same problem. Andy's about 7th in midfield pecking order. I think we'll agree on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Send James to Forest. I like James. I wouldn't do that to him.
He's a nice lad. What would you want to do that for?
That's a bit unfair on him. Okay, this guy I had forgotten all about. And I thought we'd sold him, but apparently not. Again, he's only out on loan. So I don't think anything's going to happen with him in the January window. Because I think he's going to be wherever he is now until the end. He's at one of the Turkish sides, I think, and he's there till the end of the season. But yeah, I think again, his time has passed, has it not?
No, that was labelled as the next Riyad Mahrez, wasn't it? I mean,
anybody that's labelled the next Riyad Mahrez, it's like it's a debt, isn't it?
Well, that was an awful purchase, wasn't it? That was awful.
Yeah.
What's his name? Gazelle,
something like that. Yes, yeah.
But,
I think it was probably with that more of where he was from rather than how good he was.
Yeah, I think that's quite brief, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think we've agreed on that. Let's just see if anybody is sticking their hands up and saying, let's keep him. Get rid. Apparently, he's the longest in the shower. That's where he is. I thought he was in Turkey. He's still in the shower, apparently. Why can't we bring best forward? Well, we've moved on from forwards now, so we've done that. Diabate is now a Turkish freedom fighter. Very quickly on Diabate, I was never a fan.
No.
He scored 2 goals on his debut. It was Peterborough in the League Cup or the FA Cup.
Can't remember that.
No, yeah, and he did fuck all after that. To my mind, I think the biggest mistake we ever made was Musa, because he scored 2 goals on his debut, but that was against Barcelona.
We saw Musa on his debut at Oxford away in a pre-season friendly. Right. My son and I saw him one evening, very hot evening, the the first game after we won the league. The only highlight of the evening was that Gary Lineker brought the Premier League trophy out to the away fans, which was superb. And we said, bloody hell, this Musa looks all right, but he was running through Oxford, wasn't he?
Well, he then played in the International Champions Cup. And like I say, I know he lost, I think, 4-2 or 4-3 in the end, but he got 2 goals against Barcelona.
That's right, yeah.
If you can score again, and again, the problem was Ranieri never played him in his right position. He played him on the wing because of his speed, and he wasn't a winger, you know. So good evening to LCFC Boyer. Evening, mate. Welcome along. Right, we're getting to these. I think we've got through the contentious ones at the start. Okay, let's have a look at this gentleman here. Hamza Chowdhury. He's been linked in the past briefly with Newcastle. Bit of a liability sometimes. You don't know whether he's going to have a good game or have a yellow card game.
I have Hamza on my list with a big question mark next to him. There were times when I thought Hamza was okay, but he's another one when you come on, you go, oh my God, because you're sort of either waiting for a red card, a yellow card, or a broken leg. You know, he has that ability. He's a bit rash, and I just tend to feel that his lack of ability drags him into those sort of tackles a little bit. I would say at best a squad player, Chris, and at times a liability.
Yeah. I agree with both of those points that you made. He is very much a liability, and my head is always in my hand when I see him going in for a 50-50. And of course, the role that he plays, you've got obviously Ndidi in there, and you very rarely need. I don't like 2 defensive midfielders. I'm going to be honest with you. You've got Mendy coming through as well. Somebody said here, Chowdhury get rid, too much ill discipline, which is what you've just said there, Matthew. Not good enough, always been 50-50 drawing possession. I'm just going, this is getting them talking now. Hams are not even championship standard, Rob. Very hot-headed. Very hot-headed and no creativity from Andy. LCFC Boyer. Loan is not good enough right now, but there is a good player in there. Needs to be more disciplined. Spot on, I think, with that. Stick him up front. I don't know about that. But if we don't get a strike, we might have to. And what Chadri lacks up in skills, he brings up with Sweet Fanny Adams. Should we say that says there? I'm torn with this one. I really am. But I think we have to say that if we're going to grow as a team and we're going to look at playing, depending on how well we do in the FA Cup, three tournaments come February, the League, Europa and the FA Cup, we're going to need the squad, as has been proved at the start of this season with our injuries. To me, he's a squad player, but I wouldn't keep him.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there, Chris. I wouldn't be outing him. But also saying that, he's homegrown. He's Leicester boy through and through. And sometimes we do feel a little bit sentimental with these lads who have come up through the system. So let's not cloud our vision with that slightly. I think we do get a little bit like that occasionally. But he's only young still. I think he's learning still, and he's in the right hands with Brendan and his team. If he's good, I'm not saying he's going to be as good as the Ndidis and all those, but you know, it's too early to be getting rid of. And yes, we do need a squad with some depth if we're going to progress. You know.
Yeah, and we've said there, LCFC Boyer, it's not just a starting 11, it's about keeping a strong squad, and yes, it is. And we forget he's young. You know, you look at the guy there, and he looks older than he actually is. He is still learning. He can have a good game, certainly. Problem with now becoming a top 5 club with a lot of championship players. Problem with Leicester is, I think our squad players are always going to be at that level because they're not going to want to play second fiddle at the moment at Leicester. As we get bigger, they might want to. And we shouldn't be playing 2 defensive midfielders in a match. Doesn't suit our gameplay. I agree, but indeed he gets. We all know indeed he's got a card in him as well.
Yeah,
Mendy gets injured. Chowdhury's there.
I mean, Mendy gets injured. Indeed, he's just come back from a long injury. All of a sudden, we look a bit thin in that department if we don't watch out.
Yeah. So for me, Chowdhury is a keep. What about you, Matthew?
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that one, Chris. To be honest with you, I'm not a massive fan, but I don't think it'd be getting rid of. Definitely. Yeah, hang on to him.
Okay. Now we come to probably some of the more controversial ones. This guy, Mendy, he is obviously out for a long time. He was supposed to be the next Canty. We've given him a year's contract, and thank God we have. He's come in, and he's never let us down. And I've got to be honest with you, don't keep him. For me, get him signed up to a bloody long contract, because I think as a backup, he is great.
Yeah, he's been superb. I mean, when he renewed his contract this summer, didn't he? When I think he was still injured.
And we went on, yes.
That's right, years extension on his contract. And I was a bit like, Christ, that's brave. You know, we haven't played a lot of football, and to be honest with you, when he last played, I wasn't over keen on him. But he's come back and he's like a new signing. He's a revolution, isn't he?
Yeah.
When Ndidi is out, he stepped in. They're very different players, but when he stepped into that role like he never left it. And he's not. You name a bad game he's had, and he's played a lot of football, hasn't he, this season?
He's had to, and as LCFC Boyer says there, 100% keep. Been like a new signing. He has been like a new signing.
Absolutely.
And indeed, he can't play every minute of every game. Like I say, Indeed, he has got a card in him. We know that. And unfortunately, he has got an injury in him as well. So, to my mind, he's jumped right up that pecking order. And like I say, I would get him tied down to a longer contract.
I totally agree with you. Yeah, you'd want him on the squad now for the next few years, wouldn't you? He's one for the future, definitely.
I think he's Mandy is no Canty, but he's a keep. Tell me, who is a Canty? Who is a new Canty? It's.
I tell you what, Chris. Some games he's not far behind him. I'll be honest with you.
I love the guy. I love the guy to bits. I'm going to be honest with you. Right. Okay. So let's have a look who we have got here then. Now then, this gentleman. I've been on Talk Sport a couple of Saturdays, a couple of weekends running now, and both times they said to me, "Are we tying this guy down in a chair and not letting him go?" His wife, he came to Leicester wanting a 3-year contract. He was going to go to America, set up his American football school, and his kids are over there, his wife's over there, and we keep getting another year out of him. We are, as I said on TalkSport, we are the Hotel California of the football world. Sign for us, you never leave. He's not unfortunately going to want to stay when he stops playing because his family is waiting there. He's got obviously a very understanding wife. He needs to go into sales because he sells staying here to her every year, but. Has he got? I mean, I think we've got to keep him till the end of the year at least, don't you?
Yeah, start with that. That was a really amusing interview you did on TalkSport. That was fantastic.
Yeah. Listen to it. Nice one.
The Irish guy, what's he called? Tell me.
Oh yeah, I know. I can't think of his name. Yeah,
it was really funny. But but they were spot on. Basically, they said. Stay another season, but don't play much. He said, thanks very much. And he's playing every week. And as when he's been needed, to be honest with you, he's come good. I mean, he's a legend with the club. He's got the medal around his neck, hasn't he? And to be honest with you, when we've needed that man on the left, he hasn't let us down, or very rarely.
No. I mean, I don't think if we sell him at the end of the year, he's not going to go. He's either going to stay with us another year, or he's going to go back to America and his wife. He's not. I don't think he's going to go to another club because he loves Leicester, And but he is getting on a bit. Yes, he is a squad player, and I think he does play better as well in a back three.
Yeah, you're probably right there.
He can sit there and he doesn't have to run up and down the wing, but we are developing into a team that plays the back four, sometimes even a five. So maybe it's his last season with us. I have a feeling it'll be his last season with us, but I think in the January window, I think we've got to keep him, don't you?
Oh yeah, this window definitely he's a keep. Yeah, I agree with you. He'll be probably gone in the close season in the summer, but there'll be no bad feeling. There'll be no sour grapes, and he'll always remain a hero of that season, that 15-16 season. So we'll say thank you very much and see you around, won't we?
Indeed, yeah. Like you said, I don't think he expected to play. I mean, he's played more games this season than he has done in the past 3 seasons.
You're right. Quite.
Now, I don't know. I don't want to sell this guy. I'm worried that he's going to come in and ask for a move because he's not getting the game time that I think he deserves. But the worry thing is, if you don't play him, who do you drop? But again, like I said earlier, Matthew, we've got Europe. We've got the FA Cup. We are going to have to rotate the team.
Yeah, correct. I think when he was getting a lack of game time before, he was getting very frustrated, to be honest with you. I really like him. I do. But where he fits in is another thing in the way Brendan likes to have his formation. But he's definitely what I'd want to keep, I like him. I do. I think he's a really good player, and he kind of sometimes we seem to play better and differently when he's in the squad. I wouldn't say he's a cement to it, but the squad appears different sometimes when he's in it.
Do you think him and Tillemans can play together?
I think there ought to be a way they can, and just to keep this fella. To be honest with you, I rate him. Him and Tillemans and Maddison. Where would you? How would you balance all that up?
That's the problem.
That's the problem we have. I mean, you have Tillemans and you have Maddison with all his flair and all the rest of it. This guy, you don't see that sort of play with him. But I like the way he plays and links up with them. But it's fitting everybody in that section of the park, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Like I say, I just hope if we do well in Europe and we have quite a few games, that will be enough to keep him, because I do. Again, he's always done very well when he's come in. Somebody here has said, 100% keep Andy Medhurst. I think it might have been going back to Fuchs. What is Pratt's role? That's exactly what we've said. Is accommodating him, isn't it?
But like we said before, Chris, we ought to be able to accommodate these good players because we need to. We're not just playing in one competition in one league. We've got the Premier League, we've got the FA Cup. Hopefully, we've got Europe as a regular thing now, and everything else. So you would hope Brendan will be able to keep these players, but I think this guy wants to be a starter every time. That's the feeling I get,
Yeah, no, I get that feeling, and you can see when he's taken off, he looks a little bit pissed off, and that's good. You should be. So I think for both of us there, he's a keeper.
Definitely.
Well, he's not. He's a number 10 probably, but you know what I mean. Bum. Sorry, my jokes don't get any better, mate.
Pantomime season.
Okay. So another guy here that start of the season I would have said goodbye, but he's come in. He's versatile. He can play across the centre, any of the back four positions, probably apart from left back, and in midfield as well. Gives us another option, another good squad player.
I thought he'd gone for a while.
Poor guy, he suffered with injuries, hasn't he?
He did. He's had a terrible. Didn't he break his ankle very badly? I think, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he did.
And he's come back in, and again, he's improved for coming. He's nearly 2 years out, I think, wasn't he? But he's come back, and like you say, he's come back and he's been very solid. To be honest with you, when we've seen him, he's done absolutely nothing wrong.
Nope.
He seems quite versatile, isn't he? He seems to fit in a few different roles.
Yeah.
So
Lee doesn't like him. Lee doesn't like him there. Andy, what I was saying, good utility player who can play in 2 or 3 positions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep him. Somebody a little bit undecided there, but again, him exactly this. You could put him in exactly the same box as Mendy.
Yeah,
he's injured. We've not seen him for seasons, and it's like having a new signing.
Yeah. I agree with that. Be a keep for me, Chris.
Sorry,
It'd be a keep for me.
Yeah, and he's a keep for me as well. Right, let's have a look who we have coming up next. 2 that I've got left here. Well, 3, but I haven't got graphics of the other one. This guy's contract's up at the end of the season. Do we cash in? He could step down and do a good job for a championship club. Do we keep him and utilise him on the training, on the coaching side?
I think that's a given to me, Chris. He stays at the club. He has a role. He'll always have a role at the club. He was captain. Another quite sentimental in some ways. Captain, very good captain, very good man at the back there. And I think he's already he's club captain now, isn't he? Club captain. He is.
If he comes on, he gets the armband.
He gets the armband when he comes on.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, you wouldn't be worried about him coming on in the odd game, to be honest with you, because when he has come on, he's been solid still. Okay, he's lost a bit of pace. He's not quite as sharp, But in my opinion, he should always have a job at the club, and he'll always do a bloody good job at the club. He's stay forever for me.
Two things I'm gonna say on that is I agree 100% with the thing of bring him on for the last 10 minutes. We're 1-0 up. We're defending that lead. And this is in fairness, I think this is how Brendan has actually used him. He's brought him on for those last 10 minutes just to calm things down, because he's got what nobody else in that defence has got, even Johnny Evans. He has got the presence about him.
Yeah.
And, he will come on and he will start bossing that back four, and he will control it. We know he's got the odd goal when he goes up front as well. But certainly, he hasn't got the pace now.
No.
That's the thing. But like you say, some of these players coming on for the last 10 minutes and just bossing. But would you ever, if I'd have said to you 5-6 years ago, do you know what? There's this player that plays for Nottingham Forest. We're going to sign him, and we're going to take him to our heart, and we're going to love him and never want him to leave the club.
No, yeah.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, we would, Chris. But there was a few in that squad we'd have laughed the same as, wouldn't we?
Indeed. Oh yeah. But the fact that he's come from Forest is the
absolutely, quite. Yeah, I get that side of it. But the other one is all Brighton as well. Another Midlands boy. But yeah, I know what you mean. But we took him to our hearts, haven't we?
We have, I think there will never be another Nottingham Forest player in my lifetime that comes to the club and we take him to the heart as much as we do. He hates Forest. He does, of course. We know Big Wes is a blue, and he does hate Forest. The penultimate one for me here, so we're coming up for the hour. Rumours he might be signing a new contract. Rumours that Man United were after him. That was only in the sun, of course, so you take that with a pinch of salt. You've got to sign him, haven't you?
Yeah, I think that bloody rumours going back to Manchester United, all bullshit, that, wasn't it?
I tell you what, when I was speaking to the Man United fan doing the opposition view show just before we played them, he actually turned around and said, they signed the wrong defender from us.
Is that well? I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Well, yes, we would. But I know Craig was saying he gets frustrated with him because he kind of stands on the ball and waits for it to happen. But do you remember? You're not going to forget the Southampton game, 9-0. We were 8-0 up, and whether a lot of the players didn't know that the record was in the office.
Yeah.
I believe he was going round, clipping everybody's ears, saying, come on, we're only one goal off the record here. Come on. And that's the sort of attitude that you want. And we've got Fofana, who's done he's done an amazing job to say that he wasn't expected to be playing this many games. We were going to ease him in. We've got Soyuncu, who can be a little bit, he comes out a lot and can leave spaces there, but he's only young. Again, he's one that looks older than he is. With Morgan likely to retire, like we say, possibly at the end of the season, you need one older head in that defence that can just take control.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more there, Chris. I thought he had an excellent game against Palace. To be honest with you, I thought he played superb. He has had the odd iffy game. Don't get me wrong; everybody has the odd iffy game, but it was an absolute steal. At 3 mil, was he? 2.5, 3 mil.
It was something like that after I think West Brom had turned down 13 or 14 from Man City in January.
Yeah, that's right. Like you say, we've got some young lads in the back there, and they rub off on him. He's educating them. Like you say, you got Wesley Fofana, you got James Justin, who's come up from the lower leagues. You need someone like him to be playing next to them, and it's worked, hasn't it? It's worked. You haven't got a Wes at the back there. Christian Fuchs will be gone. It's no good having your back line of all kids. So definitely needs to sign another contract. I think he likes it at Leicester. He seems very, very happy at the club. So, what is he? Is he 32? Is he 31, 32?
He's mid-30s. I don't know if he's that age.
But so he's got a good 2 full seasons left in him, hasn't he?
Yeah. It was 30 million that West Brom rejected. I thought it might be 30, but I thought it wasn't that much. So I went for 13. As someone who is better than me at this job once said, you don't win anything with kids. And of course, he was proven wrong that season. But, again, if Morgan retires at the end of the season, which most people think he's going to, stay with the club, Evans steps into that role of, like you say, even if we're playing Soyuncu and Fofana for pace and what have you, he's that one that can come on the last 10, 15 minutes. So he's to me, he's the ideal replacement. Andy's saying something that Craig said last night about he would do if I could bring it up. It's not working. There we go. Standing on the ball is a tactic to draw opposing players towards him, which is great as long as he doesn't give it away. Going to ask you your opinion on this, Matthew, and I want everybody else's opinion here, because this is no criticism of Kasper Schmeichel whatsoever. Kasper Schmeichel is the most passionate player that we have on that pitch. Unfortunately for me, and it's just a me thing, no matter how good you are, I do not like goalkeepers as captains. They can't control, they can't go upfield and tap the midfielder or strike on the shoulder and go, "Oi, come on, pull your socks up." To me, I would have Evans as my captain. I know let me know what you guys that are watching think. Would you have Evans as your captain? What do you think, Matthew?
I think Evans certainly will be on the shortlist for me. I'm with you there. I don't like goalkeepers as captains. They're not amongst the game. Evans would be on my shortlist as a captain, but this brings me on to something that's very similar, and it kind of interlinks. Is what we slightly miss is a guy in the middle of the park there who is ordering people about, a bit of a a general in the middle of the field. Yes. Occasionally, some games we have looked a little bit, and I've said it on this show before, and you've read a message I remember, we appear a little bit nice at times. Johnny Evans or someone slightly more forward than him, I don't know who would fit the bill, but certainly someone in the middle of the park rather than the goalkeeper at the back, kind of roughing things up a little bit. Come on, lads, that sort of attitude, because at times we've been a little bit placid and a little bit, but that's exactly, I know where you're coming from, Chris. I certainly don't like a goalkeeper with the armband on.
LCFC Boyer puts it extremely eloquently. We need a bastard in the middle of the pitch. Hey, don't hold back. Don't hold back, mate. Say what you think. I would have Evans or Yuri as captain. And I'm just going to put this up for the laugh. Maybe Nacho as captain could be the trick. You know what? The only thing Nacho could be the captain of is the bloody Titanic. Let's leave it at that. Nacho captain of the Titanic. I'm going to ask you about then captains, because there's two types of captains. There's the David Beckham, and let's be honest with you, you can't say he wasn't a bad captain. He led by example. We all remember that Greece game when we qualified for the World Cup. He might as well have just been playing on his own for England and taken on the Greek side on his own, because he was he led by example. He said, "Look what I'm doing, come and do it." Yeah. And then got the Roy Keane, who would go up and say, "What the fuck are you doing? You're not playing." Slap you around the face until you get on with it. What sort of captain do you prefer? Do you prefer the Beckham sort or the Keane sort? And you can't go in the middle and say have a mix of the two. Oops, and he's gone.
No, I'm there. You can see me? Yeah, are you there?
At your back.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back.
What you've been transferred out then, Matthew?
Yeah, I think sometimes we need a bit of a Roy Keane kick up the arse. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
You wouldn't mind a captain saying, "Do as I do, not as I say." You'll be welcome. But I think sometimes some of these players need a bloody kick up the arse. It's okay when we're winning and we're winning pretty and doing it comfortably. But you know the games. I don't have to tell you the games. You know the games where at half time or coming out for the second half, some of these lads need to kick up the arse.
Yes.
Pretty boys, the Instagram players, you know the ones I mean.
Oh, indeed. The problem is what we don't know is how Rodgers is in that dressing room. I mean, he doesn't strike me as a shouter. He doesn't strike me like an O'Neill that would go in and rip you one off if you've been playing badly. And sometimes you need this the bad cop, good cop, bad cop routine. You know. I mean, with Man United, you had Roy Keane and you had Alex Ferguson. You had bad cop there. But, you know, just had one guy said David Beckham, one guy said Roy Keane. And I don't know who this gentleman is, but he's got an extremely good taste because he agreed with me. Evans should be captain. And LCFC Boyer, he's got the old splinters in the bottom because he's sitting on the fence. We need a combination. It would be perfect, but Keane is my favourite kind. No, there isn't that type of player anymore because you can imagine Roy Keane in that dressing room now. You'd have a player's strike on your hands, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's right. And just to add to that, Brendan is quite placid on the touchline, isn't he?
He is, yes, he is. I mean, I must admit, if I'm ever watching the game, and I don't like to watch the game, I prefer the fake crowd noise because it just makes me feel like, you know, the crowd's there. But if there's not a game without that, all you can hear is Brendan clapping all the time. Which is good. You've got to encourage people. You've got to do that. But yeah, he is. You'd imagine that placid touchline effect goes into the dressing room. Last one for me, and I haven't got his individual picture up because I don't know where it was and I couldn't find it. Jupukovic.
Crikey.
Yeah, we still got him.
Third goalkeeper.
Came from Hull. Was second goalkeeper at the time. And again, it's a bit like if we sign a striker, playing settle fiddle to Vardy, keeper's going to play second fiddle to Casper. We know that, unless there's an injury, of course. His contract's up in the summer, but apparently Brendan does like having three keepers.
Well, isn't it a bit irrelevant, really? I quite like Ward.
I do. I think he's not had a penalty stopper as well.
Absolutely, he hasn't had a lot of game time. I mean, is it normal to have three keepers?
Well, I mean, I'm just looking at the Leicester Mercury now, which I mean, it's not the font of all knowledge, but it says here Eldin Jakubovic, City's third choice stopper, has only played 4 times since joining. But is highly respected by his goalkeeping colleagues, Casper, Michael and Danny Ward, as well as the young upstarts at the club. Rodgers likes 3 senior goalkeepers at the club, and so even at 36, a new deal would not be out of the question.
Well, if Brendan likes him as third keeper, well, why not? I mean, Danny Ward, for example, he knew exactly what he was coming to when he came to Leicester. He was never going to be first keeper, and Danny Ward seems very happy at the club, doesn't he? So obviously, how do you pronounce him? Jakubovic?
Is about the only one I don't have a problem with. Now you've made me think about it. I will do Jupukovic.
Yeah, well, Jupukovic. I'll not make myself sound any more daft. But if there's a need for a third keeper and the gaffer thinks there is, they're happy to pay his wages, you'd keep him then, wouldn't you?
I think the way I'm feeling is completely different this season because of what's happened than in a normal season. In a normal season, I'd say, we've got Danny Ward, blah, blah, blah. But we've seen how we've struggled with players. And let's say Casper breaks a hand or whatever, Danny Ward comes in, and I'd have no problem with Danny Ward coming in, like you said. I think he's a very capable keeper. But then you still need a reserve for him. True.
Yeah.
So I think we both sort of said keep him. Somebody, Andy. I hadn't forgot about him. The one guy that we are going to end on now, unless you've got anybody else afterwards. But I'm just looking for his picture here, and I was pretty sure I'd got him here. There we go.
Oh, my
favourite. The man who likes to take free kicks and then shoot it to Rose Ed.
Well, I was just flicking through my notes when you were talking then, Chris, and I thought, we've not covered him, and he was the one I wanted to talk about, to be honest with you.
Now's your chance.
I'm glad you brought him up.
Yeah.
Now, I said, I don't know whether it was on your programme or if it was on another channel, I said it has to be 12 months ago, at least. I said, I wish Damari Gray was as good as he thinks he is.
Ah, yes. I remember that comment. Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
And that, for me, sums the guy up. I think his attitude is appalling. He'd play one game as a sub, for example, come on as a sub and have an absolute belter, you know, running through players, shots on target, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's singing his praises, Damari Gray. Then whichever manager it is will start him and he has an absolute stinker. He comes on the pitch looking like he doesn't even want to be there, looking like he wants to put his wage in his back pocket and get in the shower as quick as he can. And he loves himself, and I'm afraid, for me, I have no time for him at all. He's talented. He came from Birmingham. We didn't pay an awful lot for him, short of 4 million for him, didn't we? And I think he signed the season we won the league, didn't he? Later, mid-season, and showed a lot of promise, you know. But he's never ever lived up to even near that. And his attitude is awful, and he's never going to reach potential he should do. He's had a couple of caps for England as well, I think, in the past. But
he was a regular in the under-23s for England.
He was, yeah.
I've got a friend who's a Birmingham fan, and he absolutely hated me when we bought Gray because he was there. What James Justin was to Luton Town, Gray was to Birmingham. Although it's funny, they didn't retire Gray's shirt when you told him, did they? Like they did when they told the guy to Dortmund.
That's right. Yeah.
Again, I'm going to go right back to the beginning and repeat myself from what I said about Nacho. 3 managers.
Yeah,
I think was he here with Claude Claudio by him? I'm not sure, but he's
who Gray.
Yeah,
I think Ranieri's bought Gray.
Okay, so Ranieri bought him. Shakespeare had him.
Yeah,
Well had him. And now Rodgers has got him. Again, like Nacho. There's something wrong with the player if 4 managers don't rate you.
Yeah,
it's not the manager. In my mind, if that many managers don't like you, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Totally agree with you.
Unfortunately, I mean, the guy to me will always have a place in my heart because he scored the goal against Cardiff in the first match after the boss died.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't forget that. But I can remember there's a picture of him. I'm going back a couple of seasons now, and he was on the subs bench, and he was on his phone texting or Facebook, whatever he was doing. You said then, Matt, his attitude. You know, if he may go on, and he may be one of those players. We look back in a couple of years and think, "Oh, for fuck's sake, why did we let him go?"
Yeah, well, I think. If it is a case of we turn around a few years' time and say, why do we let him go? We have to get on with that because he's not proved himself here, Chris, at all. Another time he sat on the bench and he was being called up, didn't have his bloody shin pads on. You know, it's almost like he's turning up for his 60 grand a week, whatever he's on. And, you know, that's not what Leicester City is about, is it?
No. Like you say, I think he's a goner as well.
Big time. But my grade, my grade is Yuri Iheanacho.
I can't argue. I literally can't argue. So we only actually, believe it or not, didn't agree on only one player there, and that was Slimani.
Yeah.
And I was on the fence, if you remember, but it was his attitude. So we agreed that Nacho has to go.
Yeah.
Perez stays.
Yeah.
Slimani depends which of us is managing the team that week.
Yeah.
And Benkovic goes. Matty James goes. Gazal goes. We've got Chowdhury, Mendry, Fuchs, Pratt, Amati, Morgan, Evans, Japokovic all stay, and Gray goes.
Yep,
Just
I
hope
agree with that.
somebody out there fancies them. I know what you, and we'll just end on this now because we've been going quite a while now. But it's been a good show. It's been a really good show. We have to do something in January because I think last January probably cost us a Champions League place.
Yeah, possibly did. Something went wrong. Something went wrong last season. I'm not sure if you can totally blame it on not signing players. From mid-December onwards, we're very poor. When we drew with Norwich, who were probably the worst. Well, they were the worst side in the league because they went down as the bottom side. I think we drew with Norwich at the King Power, and something after that went pretty wrong, didn't it? Went pretty wrong. It probably maybe we could have done with a signing or two. I agree with you, Chris, but something went desperately wrong because we felt like we got into Europe and felt like we'd lost a tenner and found a pound, didn't we? Let's hope history doesn't repeat itself. But I doubt we'll have a very active January, in my opinion. I just think some of the signings that have been bounded about bringing it out really Roger style, aren't really the club style.
Yeah.
I think
do we agree on the fact that, I mean, last season we were second, third in the league then. We bring one player in who couldn't even get into the Wolves starting lineup. And although he did, I think he was damned before he came. This guy says, bring back Bennett. Unfortunately, I think Swansea have got him. Otherwise, who knows? But if we don't sign a striker, and I've got to be honest with you, every fourth or fifth post tonight, and I haven't put them all up because they've all said the same, is we need a striker, we need a striker. If we don't sign a striker and we don't get rid of Nacho and we do struggle, we do fall off again because of a Vardy injury, whatever, we can't have two bad January transfer windows, can we?
No, we can't. But I don't think the club are going to spend massive money in January on a number 9.
They haven't got the money to spend, have they?
We're in the middle of a pandemic. We all know that. We all know our club is about airplanes and all the rest of it. They're not flying at the moment. Blah, blah, blah. What we have got, I think we all know the club is about now bringing the youth forward, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whether they say we desperately need a number 9 and then make a real big mark and spend a lot of money, January, autumn, whatever, in the summer, is another thing, because we all know if Vardy gets injured, we're knackered. Is George Hurst ready to come back and play a second fiddle to Vardy? That's the other thing. But we've been saying this for 3 years now, haven't we?
We have. We need to get somebody in there ASAP with Vardy. Because like I say, when we had Ujoa, you knew that if Vardy was injured, they said Vardy got suspended, if you remember. Oh, Leicester going to fall off the rails of a one-horse team. We went and stood 4 past Swansea. Yeah, and we've got Barnes, who is becoming not a Mahrez player, but he's getting a couple of goals like Mahrez used to. But we haven't got a Ujoa to come on.
No.
I think
we haven't got an Okazaki.
We haven't got an Okazaki. Although his goal scoring wasn't actually that brilliant. He was like he was Peter Beardsley's.
Yeah.
Peter Beardsley was to Gary Lineker, he was to Vardy in a way, wasn't he? But I mean, I guess it's look at the youth team and give them a chance. Okay, that I agree with you, and we've got some good players coming through, as in Luke Thomas. We've seen these players come through, but if we're being serious about the Champions League, we can't risk bringing a youth player through.
Also, we've got George Hurst on loan at Rotherham at the moment. You can't expect the lad to come back from Rotherham United and play up front for a top 3 side in the Premier League. Can you? That's ridiculous. You killed the lad,
Harvey Barnes did it well coming back from West Brom, but there's always the exception, isn't there? But I agree. totally
Took
what
him
you
a
say.
while. Took him a while to settle in, didn't it? You know.
Yeah, no, it did. You're quite right. I do think with the likes of George Hurst and what have you are future prospects, definitely. And there's another couple that I can't even pronounce the guy's name in the youth team.
I know the one you mean.
Yeah, and we need Brad here because Brad could at least have an attempt to pronouncing it. But I would like. I think I would like to see Nacho go and do it as a part deal for another striker. If that's with Wardo from Celtic.
Yeah.
Who knows? You know.
Yeah.
But no, Matthew, thank you so much for that.
Well, thank you for having me.
I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, somebody said get Giroud on loan there. I don't think Chelsea would let him go at the moment, to be honest with you. I think he's. Thank you for all your contributions that you make during the shows normally. And if you ever want to come on any of the other ones, again, let me know, and I'd be more than happy to have you on. You've made some really good points there, and you've talked a lot of sense.
Thanks for having me, Chris. You're very polite.
Only because I know I don't talk sense, so it's nice to have another guy on who does talk sense. Thanks very much, mate, and we'll speak soon. And have a good New Year.
Happy New Year to you, mate. Cheers.
Guys, we'll be back in 1 second, straight after this.
You are watching Leicester Till I Die TV with Chris and Chumps. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and Pinterest. All you need for everything Leicester City FC. It's Leicester Till I Die TV. Now available on Spotify.
Guys, this is the last programme of 2020. We're going to be back, or I'll be back on Friday at 7 o'clock with the Opposition View show. If you've got rid of your New Year's hangover, because that is the 1st of January, join us, and we'll be talking to a Geordie Newcastle fan there ahead of the trip on Sunday up to Geordieland. But this is the last show of 2020. I want to say a few thank yous here because we started this out at the beginning of the season. The first show was the post-match show with Brad following on the Birmingham friendly at the start of the season. And since then, it has kind of grown to the monster that it is now. I say monster because we're not the biggest and we're not the best, but hopefully we have a lot of fun, have a lot of joy, and you enjoy watching us as well as much as we enjoy doing it. We've got the preview show every Tuesday with Craig. Mark, and I say we wish him all the best. He's not so well at the moment. He's taking this transfer show forward every Wednesday at 7 until February when he'll be going back to the European show as long as we're in Europe. The pre-match show, Josh joined us recently, half hour before kickoff to have a look at the team. Post-match show with Brad and, of course, Julian Watts, ex-player, ex-Fox, who joins us for that occasionally. All the guys that do the Opposition View as well. And join us. It has been a pleasure doing it. We've got a lot of guys that just help us out on the website as well. So I'd like to say a thank you to them for this past year. Lachlan Onions, who did also the Foreign Fox blog from Australia, had a few connection problems, but we just about got through it. He does the transfer blogs. Mark Chorner, who really does help me out with the foot in both camps and keeps the news going on the website. Brad, who looks after Instagram for us. Alan, who takes a lot of stick, but he does do the game and player ratings. And it's straight after the game, in fairness. I don't even give him a chance to sit down and have a think. 5 minutes after the game, I'm wanting the ratings and man of the match through. And he puts his neck on the line there. Carl, he dips in with the memory lane. Brian does the match reports for us. Brian, they're great. Always love reading them. Calls a spade a spade. Nigel, who helps us out with On This Day. And, of course, the other 3 ex-Foxes that join us to do the Predict the Score, Steve Walsh, Steve Lynix and Ian Marshall. And I think through all the games that we've had this season, I think we've each, those 3 and myself, have only actually got one right all season. So we haven't got a lot to keep up with next season. We are all over, obviously, social media. Just to run you through it, the website, LeicesterTillIDie.com, YouTube, Leicester Till I Die TV, Periscope, Twitter, @LeicesterTID, Instagram, Brad keeps us up on that, Leicester Till I Die 1. obviously Facebook, Leicester Till I Die group, and now obviously we do the podcasts about 30 minutes after the show finishes. You can catch us on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Anchor, and there's a load of others as well that I didn't even know existed, to be honest with you. Breaker, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, they are all there as well. We are on everything. So thanks very much, guys, for joining us. Thank you for all your comments. It wouldn't be worth doing it if it wasn't for you. There'd be just the two of us sat here talking, but we'd probably still do it anyway. I hope you enjoy what we do. There's a lot of us out there. We're no better, no worse than anybody else. They're just as good. And there's some good guys out there that do it. Keep supporting Leicester, whether it's with us, whether it's with any of the other sites as well. Keep it open. And remember, we all have opinions. Opinions are like arseholes. We've all got them. And some of us talk out of them more than others, probably me included. But respect out there, guys. Show respect for each other. If you don't agree with somebody's opinion, just put up an argument against it. Don't cut that to the name calling. Thank you so much for supporting and following us. You, like I say, you really do make it worthwhile. I can go and get this tie off now, which is unlike me. But guys, please stay safe. We're going into Tier 4 in about 3.5 hours. I think most of the country is going into Tier 4. So whatever you decide to do on New Year's Eve, be sensible, stay safe, look after yourselves. Thanks very much, guys. Like I say, Happy New Year to each and every one of you. And I'll see you on the 1st of January, 7 o'clock, with the Opposition View show. Good night, guys.
Happy New Year!
Hi, Alan Smith here. Be sure to watch and listen to Chris on Leicester Till I Die TV. You can also subscribe on YouTube and various social media channels. Up the Foxes!
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.
Shut up and sit down.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You better like them too or I'll be back.